Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no-sleep work along with several never-before-published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Sean.
And I am the abominable Anthony.
And you are indeed abominable, my friend.
My God.
Because it is because of you we're going to discuss what we're going to discuss today. And no, I kid. It's actually, you're not abominable.
The writers, maybe.
We're going to talk about a comic book called Crossed, Crossed. Now, this first came out circa 2008, 2009, published by Avatar Press. That was kind of their heyday, 2005 through about 2011, maybe. They had a lot of books. Warren Ellis, Alan Moore, Garth Ennis, just a lot of creators I love went there and did creator-owned stuff. And some of it I really loved. This I had passed. It just to me looked like Garth Ennis trying to out Garth Ennis himself, and I was just like, I'm good. I don't need it. You want to tell the folks
the popularity of The Walking Dead? This was one of those things where it's like, okay, we've got another one of these stories heaped on top of a pile, trying to be The Walking Dead again.
Yes, and we'll get more into that for sure because I feel like this is particularly parallel to The Walking Dead to the degree that I kind of just scratching my head a little bit. Like, why does this exist? I know why it exists, but, and at the time, so it took 2 years for my friend and then comic shop proprietor, Mike Shinnebarger, who I do Drinking with Comics with now. It's when I was still in Chicago, and I'd go to his store in Tinley Park, and he would tell me, read Walking Dead. And for 2 years, I was like, I'm not interested in zombie shit, man. It's overdone. I said, this is like 2003, 2004, right? Or 2004, yeah. 2005. It wasn't even nearly as overdone then as it became. But he gave me the first couple trades for Christmas one year, and I was hooked immediately. And it's still, to me, the best. Other than the first 3 Romero movies, it's the best zombie opus ever. These aren't zombies, though. So let's talk about this. Anthony, what are these fucking things? What is Crossed?
Well, Crossed is a survival horror series based around a virus that is much akin to like the Rage virus from 28 Days Later, only you get like a red rash on your face in the form of a cross. So it's under your eyes, through the top of your forehead, and down under your nose, into your chin. And eventually, as like it starts to like really eat into you, because obviously it's an untreated thing, it leaves these like deep pits and like, nasty wounds on your forehead. You're able to, I guess, retain some of your, I'm not gonna say conscience, but memories and just, what is it?
Like skills?
Control over your faculties. So you're able to go and do things. you're still cognizant of what you're doing, only you want to do them. So you're out of control. You want to do really heinous and nefarious acts on other people around you, and also on other infected people around you. And again, we're going back to much akin to The Walking Dead, where you have these small pockets of survivors trying to survive with packs of the Crossed out there. And the Crossed are intelligent, and they know how to hunt, and they will seek you out in packs until they find you. There's no stopping them. I mean, other than killing them. They are alive. They seem to have no regard for their health, or for, you know, putting themselves in harm's way. That they're able to continue moving on with really nasty wounds and gashes till eventually they do die off, much like, you know, the rage virus folk from 28. But yeah, so it's really about how horrible these acts that they create or commit against other people, and it's really about how bad they can go with what their imaginations can concoct. And so going back to some of the writers on these stories, they kind of come into this series and let loose, and it's kind of questionable about what's going on in their heads and why they felt the need to create these stories and the heinous acts therein. It's a lot of it's not easy to digest. This has been a big deal lately on I guess it's been kind of like a TikTok trend or whatever, because, you know, Sean and myself are really up to date on all the latest TikTok trends, and we want to make sure that here at the Horror Vision we're sharing all those with you. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, well, that is how, when I asked you, like, because you just started collecting these and they're all out of print, and I was like, what started this? Because it's over and done with for a while, and you
Yeah.
brought that up, and it's like people are daring themselves to like take the Crossed challenge or whatever.
Yeah, read the
And
nastiest thing you can come up with, and this has been the like apex in the conversation lately, where it's like, no, everybody needs to stop and read the Cross. So now it's one of those things where, you know, it's flooding my YouTube feed and things like that, where I'm seeing more reviews pop up, whereas since there hasn't been really any reviews for the book since, you know, 10 years plus back. And now all of a sudden, all these new readers are coming. And so I myself am very new to this. I've heard of the Cross. I've heard of Cross back in the day. I never bothered with it. I was an avid Walking Dead fan. So again, it was one of those things I was willing to jump around back and forth, or
right,
really even explore
the
at that
comic,
point.
we should let's just continue. I always have to do this. I have to delineate because I think you're like me. I love the comic. I hate the show, The Walking Dead.
Exactly. Yeah,
Hate it.
I literally
Hate
have
it.
seen one season of the show. I tried to watch the first episode of the second season. It was like, well, that's not what happened, and I just turned it off and never went back to it. And that was it.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just not good. Andrew Lincoln sucks. Anyway, I've talked about that ad nauseum. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
It's okay. So again, so this is one I'm just jumping into now. I'm like, okay, well, you know, a lot of my tastes have changed now, and I do have a bit of I do have a taste for a bit more of the extreme. So I thought maybe this is time for me to go ahead and delve into this and see if this is something that's really worthwhile, worth reading. And I've had a good time with it so far, to be honest. The storylines again are they're very thin. It's nothing you haven't seen before in a lot of the survival horror stuff. It's just a matter of like, how quickly can these people's lives be torn apart in the worst imaginable way? I guess one of the taglines on the back of pretty much all Cross books is something like, a world like this, it finds a way to damn us all. There is only the Crossed. Or in one terrifying moment, civilization crumbled. There is only the Cross. So basically letting you know there's no hope, and there's no reprieve from any of this. Any glimpse of happiness or semblance of normalcy is very short-lived, because it doesn't take long for these things to track you, and then it's an all-out war for survival. And it's very bleak. Very few people survive. There really aren't a lot of characters to gravitate toward, to really root for, because almost everybody dies. So it's one of those things where it's like, this is just an exhibition in atrocity are you willing to take the leap and go along with it and see where it takes you?
Right.
You want to add in on this?
So, like I said, I passed on it back in the day. I haven't given it a second thought ever. And when you started reading it, we talked about maybe doing an episode. I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I love Garth Ennis, like Preacher. My two favorite comics of all time are Walking Dead and Preacher. I mean, James O'Barr's original Crow is there as well, but as far as ongoing series, those are the two. And I like The Boys. I read all the stuff I read monthly, right? So I got into Garth Ennis with Preacher when #1 came out, and I've followed a lot of his stuff. But what I found as I went, I don't like everything he does. And like The Boys is a great example. The first 6 issues when it was DC Vertigo, they were great. Warner Brothers realized what they were publishing. They shit canned it. There was a bidding war. Dynamite won. They picked it back up. I don't remember what the interim was where it was not coming out. And they did the next however many years it went. And I just always felt like it was not really that great until the final year. So I think a lot of times my thing with Garth Ennis, and this is just my opinion, and again, I still like some of it. Goddess is amazing. Pride and Joy is amazing. Some of his Rifle Brigade stuff is amazing. But I feel like sometimes he tries to outdo himself. These guys, Mark Millar is like this too. They get known for the extreme stuff, and they're like, we're gonna outdo. This is like The Boys was broadcast when it was coming out as like the book that out Preacher's Preacher, and I don't know. So this just looked like that. And now I've read the original 10 issues, 0 through 9 that Ennis and Jason Burrows did. And Jason Burrows is fucking gold, man. I love his stuff as an artist. And I read the first Badlands that he did, and I read the first issue of the Jamie Delano, and I forget the artist, and I just stopped. I thought it was poorly written and poorly drawn, and I just was like, fuck this. And then I read the first 3 of Psychopath. And I love David Lapham. Stray Bullets is another one of my favorite. That's right up there with the other stuff. It's one of the greatest comics I've ever read. I don't know, man. Like the Psychopath arc, it just seems like here's what I think happened with this book. I think Ennis starts it, and I read some quote. I was looking around last night. He basically was like, he did the first 10, and then the publisher at Avatar, the CEO or whatever, editor-in-chief, was like, you want to do more? And he's like, not really. But I recognize the fact that it's like a world, so we can have other people play in my sandbox as long as leave my characters alone. And I have issues with his first 10 issues. I overall very much enjoyed it. And I love the way it ended. And I'm glad he said that, because it should just not be touched, right? So then I think these guys that cycle in, Jamie Delano, David Lapham, David Hine, Christoph Gage, Cy Spurrier, I'm missing one, Kieran Gillen. Alan Moore. I haven't read all of their stuff, but what the cross section I've seen of other creators, it just seems like they're all trying. Like, I figure they're like, okay, it's cycling back. Like, I picture David Lapham, like, okay, so and so just wrote it. Now they're coming back to me for 3 issues. I'm gonna go. How can I just get completely fucking crazy and one up these motherfuckers?
Exactly.
That's what it feels. And so it's fun. I would imagine for them it was fun. I don't know that some of this stuff needs to be out there in the world, to be honest.
That's how I felt about the third arc that I read last night. Now I got through Crossed book 3, or volume 3 rather. And this one came out originally in 2012. And this is a Lapham story, and this is Psychopath.
Yeah, it's rough.
Art by Raulo Caceres, and I know him from Max Brooks's Extinction Parade, that was also done by Avatar. But
the art's fucking incredible. Really cool stuff he does with panels.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of growth in his artwork. It looks really good. And I can say that much. As far as the really nasty stuff, this guy goes all out. They let him off the chain, and you see things in here that are downright atrocious, and it's beautifully crafted.
Yeah.
However, it is something that has so many fucking triggers for modern society that it's almost it's a portrait of barbarism that I don't know needs to exist in today's day and age. I don't know if it's something that ever needed to. It almost feels, I don't want to throw out any wild accusations or anything, but it's almost like deep-seated fantasy for the most fucked up kind of people out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how this came to be. I don't know how publishers signed off on it and said, yeah, this looks good. Like, this is just, it's fucked on all ends. Now, it's not to say that it's not, again, crafted well. It's
Yeah.
just the content in it is so it's so vulgar. It almost just doesn't need to exist. It's pretty awful at times, and was quite a hard read to get through. My girlfriend was sitting next to me on the couch, and you know, every once in a while we'll kind of take a peek over, what you doing? And I would kind of close the book. I'm like, you don't
Yeah.
want to see this.
You don't want to see
don't want to
this.
fucking see this. You don't need to see this. And we could talk about any other book in the world, but this one, this is bad. But yeah, this book is it's pretty fucked, man. And I I gotta say, I do like the first two arcs way more than I like this one. Um,
Agreed.
yeah, Cross Family's Values came out, and looks like, sorry here, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
This was a 2011 arc, and Cross Family Values has a little more of the taboos to be broken, and so some of that stuff is in here, but it also is really engaging with a very the story that goes along with the lead protagonist. I feel like it's her journey's a lot more harrowing, and
Okay.
I enjoy it. And I think it's a little more akin to what's happening in the first Cross. So you're getting a little more of that gross stuff. You're getting a little more taboo. You're getting cult-like ideals thrown into it. It's actually a pretty decent read. I can say that. Yes, it's extreme, but yes, I think it's a well built upon established story, like new established story on top of what we already got from Ennis in the first book. Um, Real quick, and I just want to touch on this before we talked about Avatar being defunct. Now, this is funny because I just picked up a brand new trade of Cross Family Values from my local shop, Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. And when I went in there, I didn't think twice. I said maybe this was just from an overstock that they had. But upon looking at the inside of the book, it says Cross Volume 2, third printing, June 2024.
Oh,
Avatar is somehow reprinting these books, yes. But as far as new material coming out, we don't have anything from Avatar any longer. I think as like a publishing company, they're not going to be doing any new IPs, but the Cross books are making a reappearance at bookstores now, with some reprints. So for those listening that are interested in some of this absolute disgusting filth, go see if you can get this book ordered now, because evidently it's back in circulation. I don't know for how long. I don't
that's
know if this means they're going to do a full relaunch, but I think it's really interesting that Avatar in some degree is still out there putting out some of their old material. So that's a good thing.
that's interesting. And you know, it really right now there's a company, AWA. It stands for something like Artists Writers Associate. It's not exactly it, but it's close.
Yeah.
They and Ennis and a bunch of other, I'm blanking right now, but they remind me exactly of what Avatar was, 20 years ago. So I mean that's kind of cool. They just did Ennis's Ribbon Queen, which I think is fucking fan. Thought was one of my favorite things he's written since, what was it, the road what was the Hell book? The we both read it, the not the Road to Hell, the one with the two cops that are trapped in the warehouse and the guy's fucking with them.
Yeah. God, and I remember that one.
It's like the Long Road to Hell or the Long Walk to Hell. I
Yeah,
forget which one.
exactly.
But Ribbon Queen's fucking fantastic. And but anyway, so it's interesting that I wonder if Avatar is taking advantage. I don't know how wide this like I had not heard of this Crossed thing until you brought it up, and I'm not searching for anything because I don't want it in my algorithm. Not I mean the books. So okay, so Psychopath, it's rough. I probably won't finish reading it just because I don't really care about the characters at all.
Yeah, there's no need, honestly.
I mean, it's fine. I read 3 issues because you mentioned it and I wanted to be able to speak to it. Um, and honestly, to me, all you need, if you're going to read any, I don't think any of it's essential, but if you read that 0 through 9, the original Ennis and Jason Burroughs stuff, I think that's a great place to go and stop. You had mentioned some stuff world building wise, like a timeline and evolution. That's interesting, but I can read about it on Wikipedia if I care.
Agreed. It's do you want to really commit to another
I mean,
120 or
that's the thing. It went
130
so
plus
long.
episodes? It yeah. So
I didn't even know that.
after the third arc, Ennis comes back, writes the first, I believe, 3 issues of the Badlands, which I think takes place in like Scottish Highlands or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was fine.
And that was it. And that was just him basically handing over the reins, saying, okay, here's the world. You guys run wild. And then Badlands runs for 100 issues, with many various, artists and authors. And some of those stories are interesting. And I can see where they go up to. Eventually, after Badlands ends, we get Alan Moore stepping in to do the Plus 100 series for Cross. So, I mean, it does have, some elements of class that step in. And from what I hear, a lot of that later stuff is much more toned down and more story based instead of violence based. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's my issue is I feel like this, like you said, the stories are thin, and even that first 10, I mean, there's stuff where I'm like, there's beats that are exactly from the early days of Walking Dead. Like
Yeah.
I won't spoil it, but there's one where it's like somebody in the group is revealed to be a serial killer, and I was like, this is exactly from The Walking Dead. Like it's done differently, but it's the same thing. And there were several other things that I was like, man, I feel like that's a beat that, and I don't understand what, I mean, I understand that the genre it is what it is. There's, you get your survivors, there's only so many permutations or whatever, but I don't know. I don't necessarily think that it's any kind of essential reading. It's surely
No.
not even in my top 10 and stuff, not even
Again,
close.
the series eventually just becomes this exhibition in atrocity and who can
Yes.
outdo each other, and who can, one up each other on how disgusting and filthy you can get. And it's had a great start. And I gotta say, Lapham's first book with Javier Barreno with
Yellow Belly, right?
well, no, I'm just talking about the Lapham's Family Values book as far
Oh,
as the
okay,
second
sorry.
arc. I think as a companion piece, I think it works really well. Clearly, the third one is going to throw you off, and the Badlands is just the wild fucking west of
Right.
Cross. So I mean, I don't know, man. I have started collecting the Badlands books. So I've got one through, or what is it? I guess it would be volume 4 through 11. I have those right now. There's 17 volumes from the core series, and it's a big fucking undertaking. I'm willing to do it just because I kind of want to see where this goes in the end. But
Mhm.
I'm definitely going to take a little bit of a step back as far as making it the forefront of what I've been reading. I did read Ennis's was it Rover Red Charlie, which is also on the Avatar line, and it's not a cross book, but I mean it's cool to see him kind of take a break from that kind of stuff as well and do a story about like dogs trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. It's really cool. I do recommend that one.
Oh, so I thought that was Crossed from Dog's perspective, but no, so
No,
that's just okay.
again, it's like it's just a post-apocalyptic thing. Something similar happened. It kind of alludes to that's what it was, but it's not. And you can
Okay.
see by the people running around, they don't have cross, rashes on their face or anything like that. So it's something different, but it's very much so a rage virus where people are not pretty much just killing themselves, but then also if you get too close, they have no problem in including you in the fun.
Okay.
So, you know, people dousing themselves with gasoline and just running into subway trains and shit like that. Crazy stuff like that. It's actually a decent read. Just seeing like these animals survival, and much like Strays that we saw a couple of years ago, you know, you're having you know, these animals in this really intense situation trying to figure out what's going on. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool read. Again, it's not quite Cross, but it's and it's like kind of just saying, okay, well, if I'm doing another Avatar title, I might as well give them something similar to what they wanted in the past. Let me give them some more of that. And
Right.
I think it's a good little book to read. As far as what's going to happen with anything going ahead with Avatar comics, I don't think they're going to be back, like I said, producing new IPs in any in the near future or anything like that. But I think it's interesting that I think they've caught on to the demand for Cross to come back, and they've again they're out there you know, reprinting these trades. So
That's
I
cool.
mean, yeah, I don't have a lot more to add to this because I'm still going on with the series myself right now. And the first three books are three completely different stories. Again, Badlands is multiple different stories, and I've just said it before, so I hate to, you know, beat a dead horse here. But for those who are interested in taking that step or who are looking for something a little more extreme to read, do I recommend it? Sure. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to kill you. It's gross. If you're looking for something a little more extreme than The Walking Dead in that vein, it's there. There are some places where it goes too far for no fucking reason, and maybe that's the point, and I just don't understand. But I mean, there are films that do the same thing as well.
Yeah.
So in that regard, hey, you know, do what you want. But it is, I gotta warn you, there's for those that are triggered by
Just anything you could possibly think of that might trigger somebody, it's here.
it's in here. It's in here. And it's a lot of depravity is committed by people, so humans also.
Yeah.
So it's pretty gruesome and pretty horrifying. But if you've got the stomach, yeah, fuck it. Read it. Why not?
Would you say this is, and if not, what is, but would you say this is the most disturbing thing you've ever read?
I would say that Psychopath probably is the most extreme thing I've ever read.
Okay. I feel like this pales anybody interested in reading, and it's not in any way a horror story, but the thing that I think has stayed with me the longest as far as being disturbing is Irvine Welsh's Marabou Stork Nightmares. There's some stuff in that I wish I didn't have rattling around in my head.
You care to elaborate?
No, God, no. This I mean, Welsh is a great example of like somebody who can go to really fucked up places and do shit that you're like, oh man. But he's not a bad person, and that's all, like I don't think any of these authors are bad people. But yeah, but it's something about it, you know, movies, I'm a wuss, I've said on the show before, there's a lot of places I won't go. Comics, there's just something about this. Even Psychopath is like, as disturbing as it is, I don't feel like it's gonna fuck up my head the way Marabou Stork Nightmares did. So, it's, I mean, we took the cross challenge and I guess we passed. I guess. I don't know.
I
Do I get something?
suppose.
Do I get somebody to stab me in the face and fuck the resultant hole? Is that what happens?
Probably.
Doesn't
You
sound
know,
like a prize, but
I'm
you
sure
know,
there's some nut job out there using this as a blueprint or something, like I'm sure there's some people out there that are already unhinged that are like think this stuff is the best thing since the Bible. I don't know,
yeah,
man, but
nice.
there's some like I said, very, very horrible and triggering stuff in these books. So yeah, listener warning. If
Yeah,
you do plan on treading these, or you know what, if you have read them, I'd like to hear some comments from you
yeah,
guys.
definitely,
Hit us back.
definitely.
There's a comment box on the bottom of Spotify.
Spider,
Yes, Phonogram. But you guys know where to hit us up at. Please, if you guys have read Crossed, I definitely like to hear what other people think of it.
Yeah.
I myself am quite curious about it. I do spend majority of my day on the road, so I'll flick on YouTube and just hit Crossed reviews and hear what other people think about it. And believe it or not, it's from a lot of sensible people that are like, yes, it's fucking horrifying, but it's pretty good. So, I mean, I would love to hear what a lot of y'all think about
Yeah.
it. If you've read any of it, if you haven't, if you're thinking about taking the plunge and see whether or not this is something you really want to get fecal matter on your face from. I mean, it's, but yeah, fucking enjoy.
Enjoy. So that's Crossed. And this is the Horror Vision. And I'm Sean.
And I'm Abominable Anthony.